The brain has been compared to a machine. The rise of computers and rapid advances in artificial intelligence creates speculation of machine consciousness. But is the brain comparable to a machine? A machine has parts which perform functions. Part A signals part B, which pushes part C. Machines can be simple or complicated, but the parts perform simple functions within the greater complexity of the whole. In computing, digital language follows the same pattern. Everything is either a 0 or a 1, on or off. Even with the revolution of quantum computing on the horizon, it only adds one new position, a superposition. In a machine, the sum of the whole equals the sum of the parts. On the other hand, the brain, which we're used to thinking of as the seat of the mind, is made of neurons, each of which has multiple channels of on. It seems that if the mind alone gives rise to consciousness, it does so by being more than the sum of its parts. This is the phenomenon of emergent properties that arise within a complex system. There are structural features of the brain that can be connected to particular functions. For example, the surface area of the brain is huge because of the folds in its surface. The surface is a place of a lot of the electrical activity, not so much in the brain as on the brain. Surface area and folds may well affect intelligence. However, no one part, nor every part put together through MRIs and EEGs, explains the actual property of being conscious, having an awareness of self. Consciousness may be an emergent property of the interplay between different parts of something more like an ecosystem than a machine. To illustrate what emergent properties are a little more, let's take an example. A famous example of emergent properties in ecosystems is the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone National Park. Reintroduction of the wolves changed the entire habitat. Deer moved into higher pastures and away from open ground and the rivers, and this led to more trees and shrubs growing, to beavers colonising new sites in the park to build dams which created more pools and marshes and flooded pastures, which created habitats for many more insects and so for birds too. In an ecosystem, changes introduced to affect one species directly can affect the whole habitat, both up and down the obvious structures like food chains. And this includes effects on things of material human interest, such as soil health and water retention, rivers being more or less prone to flooding, forestation and soil erosion. Ecosystems are made of complex webs of interaction, and so are unpredictable. They give rise to emergent properties. Even as computers become more complex and super-intelligent, they are not becoming conscious. To be self-aware, you may need to be able to locate yourself. So building further on the idea of the brain as an ecosystem rather than a machine, the brain is part of the whole body, which through some combination of sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, alert the brain to the presence of that which it is not. So consciousness needs intelligence to be embodied to give that intelligence a place and a time in which to locate an awareness of self. The senses of the body through which intelligence gains a specific location and time then encounters other bodies which the senses can perceive as other. When I touch the back of a chair, my fingers feel the texture of bobbly wool. My eyes help my brain recognise that the sensation of touch comes from my fingers, but that I have no sensation from the chair's perspective. I am not the chair. The hard question of consciousness is where consciousness comes from. If consciousness is the subjective life of the mind, our vivid impressions and feelings, what it's like to be you, then according to expert David Chambers, reductionism is not currently even attempting to answer the question. One proposed solution is panpsychism, which claims that consciousness is a quality of the very fundamental particles of the universe, that the whole universe has a base consciousness that is manifest only in certain combinations, through sensory embodiment, that makes a self and another. This would loosely fit with a Hindu understanding of the universe as a single being, one consciousness in all things, in which individual consciousness could be argued to be an illusion. If panpsychism proves true, though, this is not a mutually exclusive idea to Christian faith. As the Christian looks at the creation to see the work of the Creator, who is not within the universe, but in and by whom the universe continues to be created, so the Christian knowledge and vision of God must not be confused with the universal consciousness or any force or gods found within the universe. Theology would also continue to have a defence for individuals' worth and dignity. Even if individual manifestations of consciousness arise from an underlying unified property of particles, a person would still have a status and value conferred on them as a gift of the Creator. I think it likely, though, that the real trouble we're having with consciousness is one of dialect. When Galileo said that mathematics was the language with which God wrote the universe, he not only confirmed the continuing place of faith as a partner of the sciences, but also that the language of science would be the equations of math. Perhaps this is why in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy the meaning of life is 42, which of course is a meaningless answer. Galileo, though, remained a philosopher of words as well as an experimenter in numbers. Words are important to consciousness. In theory, you could remember being born, but memories only seem to be recalled from about the same time that we learn speech. Our consciousness of our past, our memory, needs not only the senses, but also words to attach our past experiences to. Words embody ideas, and the ideas become the hooks for our minds to hang memory on. What allows humans to use words is community. There can be no language without learning first from others. We may then play with words or develop new meanings, but language is the work of generations and communities. It is shared. Perhaps the reason science struggles with the hard problem of consciousness is that it was only ever meant to be a partial description of reality. Science has done very well in describing reality in its native tongue, but that it cannot capture the qualitative is because it is a quantitative language. We would be better at understanding our world if we embraced being bilingual, to talk both tongues fluently, rather than denying the whole creative right side of the brain because it does not talk the calculating language of the age. If consciousness is found in relating to one another, we had better start to reunite the poetic and the logical sides of ourselves first. One conscious being is shaped by the interaction it has not only with other bodies, but with other conscious beings. I learn who I am by learning who we are, who you are, and how you change who I am. The Bible describes this very thing when it tells the story of the Adam, the man of the earth, encountering the woman, Ishar. This encounter results in the Adam becoming Ish, man. The human finds something of their identity through meeting the other creatures of the earth. The Adam knows themselves to be connected to the earth, the Adama, and its creatures, but only after God takes the stuff of the Adam, the rib from over the heart, and makes another like to itself, does he become Ish with Ishar, man and woman, recognising likeness as well as difference, kinship and partnership as well as profound mystery. This same idea is captured by the African word Ubuntu. A person is a person through other persons. This is the Christian understanding of what it is to be conscious, to be who you are, an affirmation of your individual worth being a gift made in God's image, and yet knowing yourself only through relationship with the earth, other people, and our Creator, as we locate ourselves through our senses, our bodies, our words, and our relationships.